Have you ever sat alone in the quiet after another hard day and wondered, why do I always suffer, no matter how hard I try? Maybe it's the ache left behind by heartbreak, a sense of failure at work, or the loss of someone who cannot be replaced. Maybe you feel stuck in a cycle, searching for answers, asking yourself if life will always be this way. You're not alone in these questions. For centuries, people have sought a way through suffering, a light to guide them through the darkness. Applied Buddhism offers just such a light, a practical, compassionate path that can transform the way you relate to your pain and discover the peace waiting within you. Today, let's walk together, not through distant philosophy or abstract theory, but through the living wisdom of the Buddha, a wisdom you can apply in your daily life, in every breath, and in every step. This is not about escaping suffering, but about understanding it, meeting it with open eyes, and learning how to move gently beyond its grip. To begin, we must recognize the root of suffering. Most of us believe that our pain comes from the world around us, from other people, from circumstances beyond our control, from the unpredictability of life. It's easy to blame fate, luck, or the actions of others when things go wrong. We tell ourselves, if only they were kinder, if only my job was better, if only I hadn't lost what mattered most. But the Buddha's teachings point us in a different direction. He taught that the real source of suffering lies within our own mind, in craving, in anger, in ignorance, and in our relentless clinging to the fragile idea of self. Think about it. When you cling to the past, replaying old hurts and regrets, you weigh yourself down with sorrow that cannot be changed. When you crave the future, chasing after dreams or fearing what might come, you lose the peace that is available only in the present moment. The mind is constantly reaching, grasping, resisting, and worrying, creating a storm of suffering out of our own thoughts and desires. But this isn't cause for despair. It is, in fact, the beginning of hope. If suffering is created by our own mind, then we have the power to transform it. The path of applied Buddhism is not about eliminating pain from your life. It's about changing your relationship with it, so that suffering becomes a teacher rather than an enemy. So how do we walk this path in daily life? The lessons of applied Buddhism are simple but profound, rooted in awareness, compassion, and the courage to face life honestly. First, face your suffering. You don't have to run away from pain, numb it with distractions, or pretend it isn't there. By turning toward your suffering and looking at it directly, you realize it is just a part of life's natural flow. Pain is not a punishment or a sign of failure. It is a universal experience that comes and goes, like the changing weather. When you allow yourself to feel discomfort without judgment, you begin to understand its true nature. Suffering loses some of its power when you stop resisting and start observing. Next, embrace mindful breathing as a safe refuge. Whenever your mind feels restless or overwhelmed, pause. Take one deep, mindful breath, in and out. In that single breath, you'll discover a quiet refuge within yourself. Mindful breathing is not just a technique. It is an invitation to return to the present moment, to anchor your awareness in the here and now. Each breath reminds you that you are alive, that you are capable of meeting whatever arises with calm and clarity. Letting go is another key to true freedom. Everything in life is impermanent. People change, circumstances evolve, and even our deepest feelings shift with time. The more you cling to possessions, to relationships, to past mistakes, to future hopes, the more you suffer. Letting go doesn't mean giving up or not caring. It means freeing yourself from the chains of attachment. It is the quiet acceptance that life moves in cycles, and that peace comes not from controlling what happens, but from releasing your grip and allowing things to unfold naturally. Compassion is the medicine for a wounded heart. When you suffer, don't be harsh on yourself. Self-criticism only deepens the pain. Instead, begin with self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer a dear friend. Recognize your struggles, forgive your mistakes, and honor your efforts. Then, gently extend that compassion to others. Everyone you meet is carrying their own burdens, facing their own fears. Compassion creates a healing bridge between your heart and the world, turning isolation into connection and suffering into understanding. As we arrive at the deepest truth, remember, no one can give you peace except yourself. The Buddha never promised magic or instant solutions. He offered a path, a way to walk through life with mindfulness, courage, and wisdom. If you are willing to take that path, step by step, your suffering will transform into strength, and your darkness will turn into light. This transformation does not happen all at once. It is a gradual unfolding, like the blossoming of a lotus flower in muddy water. Each mindful breath, each moment of letting go, each act of compassion brings you closer to freedom. You may be wondering how this path unfolds in real life. Imagine a moment when you feel overwhelmed by sadness or anxiety. Instead of pushing the feeling away or blaming yourself, pause. Notice the sensation in your body, the tightness in your chest, the heaviness in your limbs. Take a deep breath and simply observe. Ask yourself gently, what am I clinging to? Is it an old story, a lost hope, a fear of the unknown? When you name it, you bring it into the light of awareness. Then, with another breath, imagine letting go, just for a moment. Notice how your heart softens, how your mind grows quieter. Gradually, you begin to see that suffering is not a static enemy, but a moving river. Sometimes it is strong, sometimes it is gentle, but it always flows. Your job is not to dam the river, but to learn how to swim. Applied Buddhism teaches you to swim with awareness, to accept the currents, and to find the peace that is always present beneath the surface. Consider the story of a man who lost his job and felt devastated. He blamed the company, his co-workers, even himself. His suffering grew as he replayed the events in his mind, clinging to anger and regret. But then he discovered mindfulness. He began to sit quietly each morning, breathing deeply and observing his thoughts. He noticed how his mind created stories of failure and rejection. With each breath, he let go of these stories, returning to the simple reality of the present moment. Over time, his suffering lessened. He found new meaning in his life and eventually, a new job. But more importantly, he discovered an inner peace that was not dependent on circumstances. Or consider a woman who experienced heartbreak. For months, she felt lost and empty. She tried to distract herself, but nothing worked. One day, she began practicing self-compassion, speaking kindly to herself and allowing her feelings to be present. She extended this compassion to others, volunteering in her community. Through service and kindness, her heart healed. She learned that suffering, when faced with compassion, can open the door to deeper connection and love. These stories are not unique. They are the stories of ordinary people just like you who have walked the path of applied Buddhism. The teachings are simple, but they require practice and patience. Each time you face your suffering, breathe mindfully, let go, and offer compassion, you take another step toward freedom. As you reflect on your own life, consider these questions. What am I clinging to? What stories am I telling myself about my pain? How can I meet my suffering with kindness instead of resistance? These questions are the beginning of wisdom. The answers may not come immediately, but with each mindful breath, you will move closer to understanding. If you are suffering today, begin with one mindful breath. Don't ask, why am I suffering? Instead, ask, what am I clinging to? This simple shift in perspective opens the door to healing. You will discover that the light you have been searching for is not outside of you. It has always been within your own heart and mind. Applied Buddhism is not about escaping the realities of life. It is about living fully, with awareness and compassion. It teaches you to see suffering as a teacher, not an enemy. To use every moment, no matter how difficult, as an opportunity for growth and transformation. When you walk this path, you become more resilient, more peaceful, and more connected to yourself and others. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. Millions of people have walked this path before you, and millions will walk it after. The wisdom of the Buddha is timeless, offering guidance and hope to anyone willing to listen and practice. You don't need special skills or knowledge, only the willingness to begin, to breathe, and to pay attention. As you move forward, keep these lessons close. Face your suffering with courage and openness. Find refuge in mindful breathing, returning to the present moment. Let go of attachments, trusting in the impermanence of all things. Cultivate compassion, beginning with yourself and extending to others. Transform your suffering into strength, your darkness into light. The journey may be long, and there will be moments of doubt and difficulty. But each step you take brings you closer to peace. The Buddha's path is not a destination. It is a way of living, a way of being present, awake, and alive. So, if you are suffering today, take a moment to pause. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and ask yourself, what am I clinging to? With each breath, let go a little more. Invite compassion into your heart. Trust that the light you seek is already within you, waiting to shine. Thank you for joining in this exploration of applied Buddhism. May you find peace in every breath, strength in every step, and compassion in every moment. The path is open and you are already walking it. If you wish to continue this journey and discover more timeless Buddhist wisdom, not as theory, but as practical guidance to live with awareness, compassion, and peace, remember the door is always open, the path begins with a single breath, and the light is always within you.